Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, I remember in our clinic you also talked about chlorophyll, right? That's something that you were very passionate about.
Oh yeah, I mean, look at, you have to remember that every drop of life on this planet, including you and I, came from photons from the sun. So in the middle of the sun, right now, as we speak, every second, endless zillions, and that's not an embellishment, endless zillions of these little protons are born. And they bounce back and forth on neutrons for 100,000 years. Now remember, the sun is a star. And if you try to stand on it, you can't. It's only 2% particles, 98% open. So you fall right through. And 100,000 years, this gastric round circle of star is bouncing back, creating heat and friction. At about 100,000 years, it hits the surface, a solar flare, solar storm happens. It shoots off so fast, it becomes light. So it goes from a proton to a photon. Now listen here, this is interesting stuff. What evolved on the planet Earth to capture life, to create life on the planet Earth? A green leafy plant. And you learned about this, I learned about it. First big word you and I ever learned was photosynthesis. Remember that?
Yes.
I couldn't say it. It took me 2 years. Photosynthesis. So this is amazing stuff. What is that? That's chlorophyll. That's the blood of a plant. So every drop of nutrition, every drop of life, every drop of energy on this earth comes into a green leafy plant. So when you consume it, the blood of the plant, the chlorophyll, it's so antiseptic. It raises the electrical frequency of the cell to what my good friend at UCLA, Dr. Hunt, God bless her, she's gone now, said, every one of your cells have to be at about 75 hertz. And then disorder and aging cannot pervade the body. Now, she said that in 1968. And that's what I've been living by. And chlorophyll helps to clean the body and raise that energy field up to such a high level, or normal level, not a high level, normal level. I mean, you know, she worked with us years ago looking at diseases. You have cancer, every type of cancer is about 10 hertz and below. So your cell's fading. It's like a dimmer light that's almost off at that point. Multiple sclerosis, 25, you know, Parkinson's, 18 to 20. So we know the different hertz. And in the future, when we become a little bit more savvy and sophisticated, we're going to be measuring the electrical frequency of the cell to determine what disease you have well before biology can tell us.
Beautiful.
We'll know the trend of the frequencies that are going.
Yeah, I'm very excited about energy medicine. I definitely think that's where the future of medicine is going. You know, we need to get beyond chemistry.
It's non-invasive and it's becoming cheaper and cheaper and cheaper all of the time.
Yeah.
It's going to be it's on your phones. You know this, you know, years ago, somebody told me a story I thought they were making up just to pull my leg. They said they were with an older woman in Washington on a tour. She fell down. A young doc pulled her Apple phone out and did an EKG on her. I thought she made it up. So I actually challenged her and she said, here, get on the phone. And I'm talking to this doctor. Said, you don't know about this? I felt guilty. I didn't know you could do that on an Apple phone, but you can. And it's going to get more and more and more.
Yes, yes. So where can people get chlorophyll? I guess leafy vegetables, that's what.
I mean, everything from the salad you eat, raw salad you eat, you know, to the obvious, but you can't buy it in a bottle. Remember, anything you put in a bottle, including any form of juice, unless it says raw on it, has been pasteurized. Pasteurized means cooked to death. And why they do that, so it's an inert object. It doesn't have any life in it. So it's not less perishable or far less perishable. It sits on the shelf for 5 years. So what you want is fresh, raw chlorophyll. Now, I'm drinking about 1.5 quarts of chlorophyll-rich juices every day, but it's not only the chlorophyll I'm getting, as you know, but it's also the highest phytochemicals, which is the most important medicine ever discovered in the history of biology and science. This is woven into the plants, different chemicals, plant chemicals that attack diseases and get them out of your body. Every disease a man has or a woman has. Second thing is it has massive amounts of nutrients. If you don't cook that, all the vitamins are intact. When you cook something, the vitamins are almost absent. Proteins are disturbed. They're not disturbed in these foods. And most important, hormones, oxygen, phytochemicals, and enzymes. These are the 4 things I discovered and wrote about 20 years ago as being why this program, living food, organic, plant-based program, heals and reverses disease. Because hormones are the language for the cells to communicate. You don't have enough of that coming in from raw plant-based food, you're going to have confused cells, and you don't want confused cells. You age prematurely, you get, if you're lucky, you get fibrocystic problems. If you're not lucky, they develop into cancer. Oxygen, we knew back in 1917, a Nobel a laureate got this prize when he said, look at nutrients don't absorb into the human cell unless you have oxygen bonded to them. Once you cook a food, the oxygen leaves. The fragrance of the food is actually the oxygen molecule leaving. Then the third is phytochemicals, which I mentioned. I mean, I write books on this for doctors. These things are, they're magic is what they are. Every different edible plant basically has a different type of this chemical. Some take care of heart problems, some take care of diabetes, some are just purely for aging, some are for cancer, some are for particular forms of cancer. I mean, this is amazing stuff. And then enzymes. And you and I, when we went to school, they incorrectly taught us about enzymes. They said they were proteins. That's like me saying to you and everyone else, all you are is your body. Well, you should be offended. You should say, wait a minute, I have an emotional state, a spiritual state, I have bones, I have blood. You'd be right, I'd be wrong. So what it is, the outer shell of an enzyme is a protein, but it's the way your electric body receives electric. And every doctor should know this, because if you understand how inception happens, it's basically sperm and an egg coming together, and enzyme activity creates you. It's energy that creates you, an enzyme activity. So yeah, I'm a big fan of chlorophyll and anything alive like that. You know, my diet is about 90% raw food and has been for many, many decades.